Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering unboxing. So we're moving on to the second of our 5 2015 Magic the Gathering Commander decks. This is the Blue-Red Cease Control deck. As with the previous deck I unboxed, it only contains one oversized card, that for the lead general. There are two other alternate generals in here, but they just have the regular size card, as obviously does Mrs. So this is Mrs. of the Magnus is the lead general, and we'll take a look at that card when we actually open the deck. So same as the deck I looked at previously, it's a 100 card commander deck. There's a full oversized commander card, 10 double-sided token cards, so it'd be interesting to see what tokens we've got in here. A deck storage box which basically just holds the deck in its raw form, deck strategy insert, and a rules reference card. So let's take a look at this blue-red. Each of these decks contain 15 new magic cards as well, although there could be some overlap between the decks depending on what those cards are. Okay. So this is actually what they call our deck box. As you can see, not really enough room in there to have it sleeved. Once you get that sleeve, it's going to get larger. There's also going to be more width to it. I think what happened one time, I did try to use the really super thin sleeves, the perfect fit, which are also really thin, and I may have been able to get them into a box like this. I just actually don't remember, but you know, it's basically a deck holder, but really for the deck in its raw unsleeved form. Okay, so there's our oversized card there. I'm just going to obviously look at that card within the deck. Here's our actually deck with the double-sided tokens, which I think's a smart move to do that. So let's just open this up. What would I think be quite a nice touch, and I suppose it's not too important, when you get the dual decks, it always has the sets that they come from. I think actually that would be quite nice if they could to print that. I know with the new cards, obviously they're not coming from anywhere but the commander set. But for the ones that have come in, it would be good. Again, I don't know how clearly this is coming up because it's sort of a shiny black background, but they've starred up all the new cards specifically for these release. And the thing to remember with these cards, although they're not legal in standard, are legal for play in vintage and legacy. So that's the real sort of old eternal formats, and they've marked up the alternate commanders as well on here. So Mrs. of the Magus. God, I'm having trouble saying that. Mrs. of the Magnus is our main commander, and then we've got Arjun the Shifting Flame, which is a non-colour alternative, obviously. And the other one, I don't know how easy it is to spot here. Oh, there it is. Melik is it Paragon. So they have both of those. Look like, yeah, they have a slightly higher casting cost. I don't know if you can see which cards are the new cards, but things like Gigantoplasm is a new card. War Chief Giant, Thought Vessel, Awaken the Sky Tyrant, Rite of the Raging Storm, Mystic Confluence, Ether Snatch, Mirror Match, another one. I'm just seeing the ones that really jump out. Mizzix Mastery, Meteor Blast. I don't think we've got anything within the land base here that's new. So anyway, let's actually have a look at this deck. There's our sort of user reference how to play things. And this is the deck itself. In some ways, these Commander products being so close to Christmas, this is the real, to me, this is the real sort of present. We can get that better, okay? That should be clearer for everybody. So yeah, so these have the Commander 2015 logo on them there, you can see that. So what have we got in terms of tokens? We've got a dragon and dragon. So this is obviously this experience business, which we'll talk about in a moment, but the idea is that these new commanders introduce this new mechanic experience, basically. So we've obviously got cards that we can put counters on that. Lightning Rager. There is a token, elemental and a drake, elemental and a drake, elemental and a drake, elemental and a drake, elemental drake, same with that one, and drake. So obviously it would appear that this deck is going to be generating lots of elementals and lots of drakes, but we'll see. So I think last time what it'll probably do is it'll probably go through the commons first, and then we get on to all the rares, and I'll go through all the rares and obviously all the commanders, just in case this isn't too clear on camera. Also if you're just listening to it as well, I think it's really helpful to read the card out. So Goblin Electromancer is in here, Broodbirth Viper, which is uncommon, Illusory Ambusher, another uncommon, Warchief Giant. So this has got a thing called Myriad on it. Whenever this creature attacks, for each opponent other than defending player, you may put a token that's a copy of this creature onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker he or she controls. Exile the tokens at the end of combat. Sol Ring, not surprisingly, in this commander product. Is it Signet? So we're going to see some on-colour Signet here, and some obviously useful mana rocks. We've got Thought Vessel, so this is gives you no minimum hand size, but also can be tapped for colourless mana. Warm Power Stone, Rite of the Raging Storm, it's an enchantment. Bluster Squall has Overload on it. Brainstorm's in here. Echoing Truth, Desperate Ravings, Etherize, Fact or Fiction we have in here, Active Aggression, Mirror Match, Repeal, Dominate, Preordain, Faithless Looting, Vandal Blast, another one with Overload on it, Windfall, Mystic Retrieval, Sleep, Meteor Blast, and we move on to our basic land mana base. We've got some islands in here. Mizes of the Magnus, so this is our main general for this deck. It's 2 blue-red for a 2/2 legendary creature Goblin Wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell with converted mana cost greater than the number of experience counters you have, you get an experience counter. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 colourless less to cast for each experience counter you have. So this is the new thing in these commander decks, this experience counter. We have an alternate general here. Arjun the Shifting Flame, 4 colourless blue-red, slightly more expensive. Also a mythic rare. 5/5 legendary creature Sphinx Wizard. So this is obviously going to be messing with the library, seeing as it's a Sphinx. Flying, whenever you cast a spell, put the cards in your hand on the bottom of your library in any order, then draw that many cards. Melik Izzet Paragon, also 4 blue red. This is rare. It's a 2/4 legendary creature, weird wizard. Play the top card of your library revealed. You may cast the top card of your library if it's an instant or sorcery card. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your library, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Okay, so Comet Storm is in here. This is a mythic. It's X2 red. It's multi-kicker 1, so you can pay that multi-kicker cost any number of times as you cast the spell. Choose target creature or player, then choose another target creature or player for each time Comet Storm was kicked. Comet Storm deals X damage to each of them. Epic Experiment, another mythic. X blue red. Sorcery, exile the top X cards of your library for each instant and sorcery with converted mana cost X or less among them. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, and put all cards exiled this way that weren't cast into your graveyard. Gigantoplasm is a rare 3 blue 0/0 creature shapeshifter. You may have Gigantoplasm enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it gains X. This creature has base power and toughness XX. Seal of the Guild Pack, 5 colourless artifact. As Seal of the Guild Pack enters the battlefield, you choose 2 colours. Each spell you cast costs 1 colour less to cast for each of the chosen colours it is. Awaken the Sky Tyrant, 3 and a red enchantment. When a source an opponent controls deals damage to you, sacrifice Awaken the Sky Tyrant. If you do, put a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Mystic Confluence, 3 and 2 blue instant. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Draw a card. Ether Snatch, 4 and 2 blue instant. Gain control of target spell. You may choose new targets for it. If that spell becomes a permanent, it enters the battlefield under your control. That's pretty cool. Mizzix Mastery, 3 and a red sorcery. Exile target card that's an instant or sorcery from your graveyard. For each card exiled this way, copy it. And you may cast a copy without paying its mana cost. Exile Mizzix Mastery. Overload, 5 and 3 red. So this has overload on it. You may cast this spell for its overload cost. If you do, change its text by replacing all instants of target with each. Jace's Archivist, 1 and 2 blue, 2/2 creature for Vulcan Wizard. Blue and tap, each player draws his or her hand, then draws cards equal. I'll start again. Blue and a tap, each player discards his or her hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. Talaran's Sky Summon is in here. Obviously, from you can see so far, what you've gathered is that this is very much about caring about instants and sorcery, so it's no surprise to see Talleyrand in here, because with Talleyrand, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying onto the battlefield, and that's 2 and 2 blue, 2/2 for a legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard. Psychosis Crawler, 5 colourless artifact creature horror. Psychosis Crawler's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. Lone Revenant, 3 and 2 blue creature spirit with hexproof. It's a 4/4. Whenever Lone Revenant deals combat damage to a player, if you control no other creatures, look at the top 4 of your 4 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Charmbreaker Devils, 4/4 for the cost of 5 and a red creature devil. At the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Charmbreaker Devils gets +4/+0 until end of turn. Ethereum Horn Sorcerer, 4 blue, red, 3/6 artifact creature Minotaur Wizard. 1 colourless blue red, return Ethereum Horn Sorcerer to its owner's hand. It's also got Cascade on it. And when you cast this spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exiled cards on the bottom in a random order. This Cascade's very powerful mechanic, particularly if you have a lot of cards with it, because what happens is you then start cascading cards with Cascade on them. I don't know how many Cascade cards there are actually in this deck, but it's an interesting mechanic. Dragon Mage, 5 and 2 red, 5/5 creature, Dragon Wizard, flying. Whenever Dragon Mage deals combat damage to a player, each player discards his or her hand, then draws 7 cards. Thought Reflection, 4, 3 blue, enchantment. If you would draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. Counterflux, 2 blue and a red, instant. Counterflux can't be countered by spells or abilities. Counter target spell you don't control. It's got Overload of 1 colourless, 2 blue and a red, and we saw earlier what Overload did. Urza's Rage, 2 and a red, instant with a kicker for 8 and a red, so you can pay that as an additional cost. Urza's Rage can't be countered by spells or abilities. Urza's Rage deals 3 damage to target creature or player. If Urza's Rage was kicked, instead it deals 10 damage to that creature or player, and the damage can't be prevented. Reigns of Power, 2 and 2 blue, instant. Untap all creatures you control and all creature target opponent controls. You and that opponent each gain control of all creatures the other controls until end of turn. Those creatures gain haste until end of turn. Steam Augury, a 2 blue red, instant. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library and separate them into 2 piles. An opponent chooses one of those piles, put that pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Word of Seizing, 3 and 2 red, instant with split second on it. So as long as this spell is on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. Untap target permanent and gain control of it until end of turn. It gains haste until end of turn. Prophetic Bolt, blue red, instant. Prophetic Bolt deals 4 damage to target creature or player. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one of those cards into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. That's 3 blue red. Firemind's Foresight, 5 blue red, instant. Search your library for an instant card with converted mana cost 3, reveal it and put it into your hand. Then repeat the process for instant cards with converted mana cost 2 and 1, then shuffle your library. Magma Quake, X red red, instant. Magma Quake deals X damage to each creature without flying and each planeswalker. Interesting. Stroke of Genius, X2 blue, target player draws X cards. Blue Sun Zenith is in the deck, X and 3 blue, instant. Target player draws X cards, shuffle blue Sun Zenith into its owner's library. Mizzium Mortars, 1 and a red sorcery. Mizzium Mortars deals 4 damage to target creature you don't control. There's also an overload on here of 3 and 3 red, so that changes target with each. Stolen Goods, 3 and a blue sorcery. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of his or her library until he or she exiles a non-land card. Until end of turn you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Right of Replication, 2 and 2 blue sorcery. Kick a 5 on this. Put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of the target creature. If Right of Replication was kicked, put 5 of those tokens onto the battlefield instead. Just be careful what you replicate. Chain Reaction, 2 and 2 red for sorcery. Chain Reaction deals X damage to each creature where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. Call of the Skybreaker, 5 blue red sorcery. Put a 5/5 blue and red elemental creature token with flying onto the battlefield. It's got Retrace on this. When you cast this card from your graveyard you may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying its other costs. Blatant Thievery, 4 and 3 blue sorcery. Each player opponent gains control. For each opponent, gain control of target permanent that player controls. So now we're moving on to the rest of our mana base. We've got a Spine Rock Knoll in here, which has hideaway on it, so the land enters the battlefield tapped. When it does, look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, then put the rest at the bottom of your library. You can tap this, add red to your mana pool, but for red you can tap it and you may play that exiled card without paying its mana cost if an opponent was dealt 7 or more damage this turn. Okay, so we've got our more islands here. So what we should see is the rest of our islands and our mountains. Yeah. So you can just get a feel for the artwork or the set that this artwork's coming from. Looks like there's some cool set artwork in here. Vivid Crag is in here, so enter the battlefield tapped with 2 charge counters on it. You can tap it, add red to your mana pool, but then you can remove a charge count, tap it, remove a charge counter from Vivid Crag, and add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Vivid Creek's the sort of blue alternative for that. Command Tower's in here, it's obviously in all the decks, so that you can tap and add any to your mana pool, 1 mana of any colour in your commander's colour identity. Evolving Wilds is fetch land for basic lands. Is it Boiler Works? That's going to fix for blue and red. Enters the battlefield tapped. And what happens with this card is that when it enters the battlefield, you have to return a land you control to its owner's hand. But when this does finally untap, you get to tap it, and it does generate both blue and red. Is it Guildgate? Is a dual coloured tap land, comes into play tap, and you just simply can tap this for blue or red. Reliquary Tower is another card that gives you no maximum hand size, and you can tap it to add 1 colourless to your mana pool. We saw that in the form of an artifact in this deck, did the similar thing. Rogue's Passage, tap 1 colourless to your mana pool. For 4 you can tap target creature can't be blocked this turn. Swift Water Cliffs. So this is a land that enters the battlefield tapped. You do gain 1 life, and this taps for blue or red. Temple of the False God adds 2 colours to your mana pool. Activate this ability only if you control 5 or more lands, and another fetch land for basics, which is Terramorphic Expanse. So both of those basic fetch lands, I think, are going to obviously be in all of the decks. Are a number of other of those non-basic lands, which will be in the relevant on colour and appropriate deck. Okay, so there we have it. This was the Mizzet of the Ismagnus Commander product. So this particular one was called Seize Control, and it's the blue-red one, the blue-red enemy colour commander deck. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.